I genuinely believe these are the most important podcast episodes ever made. This is part 4 of our 14-part series on an investigation into the truth and discovering universal principles for a good human life with the goal of enlightenment. So, to not miss the rest of the episodes in the series and also watch the previous ones, make sure to follow this podcast wherever you're listening. Let's get started. The first core ritual. So, in the first episode, we talked about what enlightenment is and how to reach it. The second one, we talked about productivity and consciousness, which are not with the usual definition, especially productivity, which productivity and consciousness allow you to revolt, which is part of the enlightenment framework. And in the third episode, so actually episode 8, because the first episode is episode 6, we talked about learning, which is a cornerstone of enlightenment, self-improvement, and therefore revolting against the absurd. If those things don't make sense to you, that means you need to listen to or re-listen to the previous episodes. But today, we're talking about the core rituals that allow you to be an enlightened being who revolts against the absurd when he is awakened and realizes there is no meaning. The first core ritual is delay gratification. Now, this is something that's thrown around in a lot of online self-improvement spaces, but it is really fundamental to a good human life. This is not only our mission is enlightenment. As part of enlightenment, you have living a good human life, which is the principles we're trying to find. And the basis for living a good human life is delaying gratification. A classic example is the marshmallow test, where you can either get 1 marshmallow now, or if you wait, 2 marshmallows later. Delaying gratification is the only way to live a good life. A life of instant gratification, that means choosing to pleasure yourself now whilst paying the price later on, is the recipe for a terrible life. Getting in good shape, looking good, and allowing you to live longer and feel better is a form of delaying gratification, right? You could eat donuts right now, instant gratification. You could just stay indoors and lay on your couch, instant gratification. But over the long run, that's going to suck for you. Whereas if you delay gratification, that means you choose not to indulge in pleasures right now. The rewards later on are going to be much, 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 much higher. Any day of the week, I would choose to be in shape rather than be able to eat donuts every day, because I know the consequences of eating donuts every day. I know that's going to make me sluggish. That's going to make me depressed. That's going to make me sad. Whereas being in shape doesn't even cost that much, but the benefits you get from it, even if they take some time to appear, are worth more than any food, any indulgence, any pleasure I could ask for. And something a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of people's goal is happiness. That shouldn't be your goal, but that's a whole separate thing. But the problem is when they mistake happiness for pleasure, that's when it becomes a problem, especially, right? Trying to be happy is okay, right? As long as you do that through building yourself up, building good relationships, finding a fulfilling career, that's fine. But when you mistake happiness for pleasure, that's when it becomes really problematic. Ideally, happiness isn't even your goal, but that's for a later stage. So delaying gratification is core ritual number 1. These are the rituals are basically things to do to revolt against the absurd. So be an enlightened being. Delayed gratification is where you place long-term reward above instant comfort. The second core ritual is discipline. You want to do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Without discipline, you are literally just an animal, right? The difference between animals and us, although we are technically animals, is the fact that we can discipline ourselves to not follow our natural instincts. Your brain will invent endless good excuses to not do something, to not work out, to not delay gratification in some way, shape, or form. But all of those are just that. They're excuses, and you need to be able to recognize them as lies and move forward anyway. Discipline yourself into doing the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline isn't going to the gym when you feel like it. It's going to the gym when you don't feel like it, but you go anyway. And if you look at everything good in life that you have around you, so for example, I have AirPods, right? Or I have a calculator here. All of these things were not built by men who were undisciplined. This took hours of work to create. All the computing inside, especially. Like right now, this is probably easy to make. I could make one in my garage. But back in the day, when these were invented, I'm talking about the invention of these. This took discipline, right? It took people working sleepless nights to figure out how to make a calculator. The person who only works on something when he feels like it is not the person to invent the calculator, or really convenient wireless earphones, or write a very good piece of literature. This is I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison. Those people don't do anything, the undisciplined people. So if you want to do something with your life, you need to discipline yourself. Humanity is built on the backs of men who acted despite feelings. That is literally one of the unique selling points of being a man, is being able to act despite your feelings. That not only means going to the gym when you don't feel like it, not eating candy even though it's right in front of you but you know it's bad for you. That also means not acting out of anger, not acting out of fear, out of jealousy, out of sadness, out of ecstasy. You want to be the kind of sculptor who chips away at the rock, whether it's raining or sunny, whether there's wind or dust or sandstorms, because at the end you will have a masterpiece. Whereas the guy who only goes out when it's sunny and it's 40 degrees out and he has a cup of water and he's done his morning routine and he feels like it, that guy never gets anything done. Be the sculptor who just shows up every single way and chips away at his rock until the masterpiece is revealed. No matter what the weather, what his feelings are, what happened to him the day before, he just goes every single day religiously. Now, that doesn't mean every single day you force yourself to work, but every single day you put in the work you know you have to do. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, would sometimes show up to his workshop, like on one day would show up and just stay there for 1 minute, look at whatever he's made, and go and walk the rest of the day. He wouldn't do any work, in quotation marks. The next day he would go in really early, stay the entire day, put in 16 hours of work, and go back home completely exhausted because he sculpted or painted the entire day. To one person, the first day might look like a blunder, right? Like he was unproductive. But in reality, he was still putting in the work. It was just a different type of work. So being disciplined doesn't always mean working out. It could mean restraining yourself from working out. Like if you're sick or injured and you know, even if you really want to work out, you know it would be better for you if you didn't. Now, don't use that as an excuse. If you're out of shape, very rarely should you skip a workout, but if you're already in shape, if you actually enjoy going to the gym and you don't question going to the gym at all, usually, if you've actually been injured, then in that case, you literally need discipline the other way to stop yourself from going to the gym. This third core ritual, and this is where we get into the actual like actions and not just more principles to live by, is meditation and mindfulness meditation specifically. The present moment is all that exists, and meditation lets you experience its beauty. Meditation is what allows you to enjoy the beauty of the world. It's what allows you to connect with people. It's what allows you to be happy. Meditation, mindfulness meditation, for those of you who don't know, is basically you pay attention to your breath, or you choose some kind of anchor, and then you focus on that. Your brain will naturally wander, and you simply bring it back to the breath. And you start with 1 minute per day, 2 minutes per day, 3, and you slowly ramp up to 10, 15, 20 minutes per day or more. So core ritual number 3 is meditation. You can see it a bit like a daily prayer. And meditation can allow you to see reality undistorted by the mind. That not only means when the stories you tell yourself about the things around you, which you'll begin to pick up on through meditation. It's like something bad happens, and before you would just think, oh, this is all my fault. This is like, why does this always happen to me? It's because I don't deserve anything. You literally distort the world through your thoughts because you think you're undeserving, which leads to unintended consequences. Whereas when you meditate, you'll notice those thought patterns and think, wait a second, that's not true. But also, this is more of like a literally scientific thing you can experience, even if you don't have negative thoughts. Generally, is if you meditate really deeply, what I've noticed personally is when you open your eyes, things seem like they're both really close and really far away, and you look at your hands and they look kind of weird. That's literally because the part of your brain that predicts patterns, because all your brain is a pattern predicting machine, it kind of stops working for a bit. And so instead of like predicting an object to be this size because it's this far away from you, your brain is still like starting that engine back up, so everything looks really fucked up. And that's a way of seeing how meditation allows you to see reality undistorted by the mind. Meditation allows you to create a separation between the events and your interpretation of them. Now what that means is usually something happens to you and you just react to it immediately, like out of instinct. You don't even think about it. Meditation allows you for an event to occur, but then it gives you a little pause between that event and your reaction to it, right? And that's when you can use your free will, if you believe in that. It's useful to believe in it, and it's the only way to live, really. You use your free will to think, okay, that guy did cut me off, but should I really honk at him? Would that really lead to anything good? Maybe not. You just go on your way. Or you do honk at him, but then you have your little pause and you think, okay, should I really let this ruin the rest of my day? You create that little pause between the event and your reaction, which doesn't literally have to be at the instant. It could be something ongoing for a long period of time. You think, well, no. Maybe there's a lady giving birth in the back of his car, so let him have the place in the lane. And therefore, your day isn't ruined thanks to meditation and mindfulness. Meditation allows you to fill yourself with love and compassion for the world and reveals it as one whole. It allows you to connect with God or higher consciousness. We have a lot of different names for it. It's just one thing. God, the universe, Brahman, whatever different people call it. It's all one thing. It allows you to connect with that. And without it, it's literally impossible to objectively evaluate your life and extract real lessons. So that's another benefit of meditation. Then the fourth ritual is weightlifting. Now, already you might notice that these are not you can't really classify these as is in one bucket. Like if I talked about meditation, you would expect the next one to be gratitude journaling, which will be on there. But suddenly I'm talking about weightlifting, which is actually very important because it shows you I haven't just subscribed to one dogma and I'm just repeating everything everybody else repeats. I've actually thought about these, and these are the most important things that I couldn't live without. I could, obviously, but my life would be so much worse. Like, the fact that this stuff isn't enforced or is actually discouraged in a lot of ways. It's like, oh, if you go work out, you're actually fat shaming people, or meditation is weird and you're weird for trying to do it. That just shows you how the world is trying to keep you a brainwashed, reactive, weak man. So the fourth ritual is weightlifting. A weak man is no man. Strength and size mark a boy to man metamorphosis. So the difference between, if you think about it, what is the difference between a boy to a man? A big part of it is strength and size. A man is much bigger. He's much stronger. So weightlifting is what allows you to enable that transformation even earlier in some ways, and also exacerbate that transformation. Weightlifting allows you not only to build energy up. If you go work out, you'll notice you have more energy for the rest of the day, which is a bit of like a paradox, but it is the truth. You can try it out. But it also allows you to get energy out. If you're angry, if you have some anxious energy, going to the gym and just doing your workout, being mindful and present, not letting your mind wander too much, or just focusing on your sets, really allows you to burn through whatever energy you might have. But most importantly, I think the reason weightlifting is extremely important, especially for young men, is that it proves that change and transformation are possible. That life is malleable, and it's not just something that happens to you, it's something that you can happen to. You can do stuff to the world, you can change the shape. It's not something that's just given to you and you need to take it. It sharpens your mind, and it shows you that pain is often progress. It shows you that just because something hurts doesn't mean you should stop. Just because it's uncomfortable, just because it's hard, doesn't mean you should stop doing something. And that applies in the gym, but it also applies for working on a business, for developing yourself, for relationships, for everything. Just because something is difficult in the moment doesn't mean that's, oh, I should just quit right now. It shows you that progress requires constantly pushing beyond your edge, and continuous gains demand ever increasing effort and load, right? The only way you build muscle is by increasing the amount of weight you lift every single week. The fifth ritual is working. Man was made to work, not forced labor, but from love and responsibility. So we need to differentiate between working as a slave and working as an artist. Obviously, I think you can guess you want to avoid working as a slave, the former, and you want to move towards working as an artist. Work is a spiritual undertaking. Creating, which is basically what working is. When you work, you create something. And it's really a shame now that I think about it, how in a lot of people's minds, working has been associated with such a negative connotation. It's like, oh, I have to go to work. Ew, it's like disgusting. Whereas work is just creation, right? An artist works by creating paintings or photographs or whatever he's doing. Working is just creation, right? You want to work as an artist, as a creator. And you think about, why is creation so important? Why does Miro keep talking about it? Because God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, again, it's just one entity, is our creator and made us in his or their image. What do you think that says about us? If we were made in the image of a creator, our creator, what does that say about us? So you want to create a life or world you want to see. So your work should be pushing humanity towards the life or world you want to see. That's everything work should be. If you're an engineer, you work by making products you want to see in the world, which make the world a better place. Maybe you work on a renewable source of energy. You're pushing the world in that way. And the difference between a guy working as a slave versus someone working as an artist is the difference between someone who, if you ask someone who's laying bricks and you say, what are you doing? He just says, oh, I'm just building a wall. I'm just putting these bricks down. You ask the other guy doing the same thing on the other side of whatever it is they're building. You ask him, what are you doing, sir? And he says, oh, I'm building a cathedral. That's the difference, right? You need to see the vision for where you want to push the world. One of the guys is just putting in the hours, just clocking in, oh, I have to go to work. And then when he's done with that, yay, I can go get drunk with my friends now. Whereas the other guy thinks to himself, I really want to build this cathedral to be something great. I want it to be something people look up to. I want it to be something that makes people think about how much beauty there is in the world. That's the difference between a slave and an artist. The sixth ritual is learning. A little bring back to the previous episode, which is learning is a cornerstone of enlightenment. There is no true enlightenment without constant learning. True learning is changed behavior, not memorizing facts. I'm going through this pretty quickly because you can just listen to the previous episode if you want more on learning. Learning isn't filling up your car with gas or memorizing new information. Learning is using the gas you have in your tank to move places, to go places. Learning is not memorizing information. Learning is using that information, which is still very important, to change your behavior. That's what learning is. Learning is changing behavior. If you don't change your behavior as a result of something, as something that happened to you, maybe imagine every time you are on the phone whilst making toast, you drop the toast. If you keep using your phone whilst you make the toast, you're not learning. You only learn if you stop using your phone whilst making the toast. Either you make your phone call before or after, but you don't do it at the same time. But again, listen to the previous episode, so episode 8. And then core ritual number 7 is gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling reveals the world's beauty, and it blocks resentment and bitterness, which are very, very toxic, poisonous, and just horrible low states to be in. You want to avoid them like the plague. If you look around yourself, you'll notice that a lot of people think that everything good in their life is because of them and everything bad is someone else's fault. Yet most people are miserable. So obviously using Charlie Munger's inversion hypothesis, whatever, if you invert that, you get that if you are grateful for everything good in your life because you know that it wasn't really thanks to you, it was thanks to other people, it was thanks to the external world, but you take responsibility for everything bad in your life, that is the recipe for a good life. Gratitude makes you happy. I mean, you can look into it. Gratitude journaling there's a lot of studies that show its immense benefits. You can look into that, but gratitude makes you happy. Being happy makes you a better person, leads to a better life. Now, you must never confuse it with contentment, right? Just because you're grateful for something doesn't mean you think, oh, that's enough, I don't have to work anymore. No, you're just thankful for that. And you're thankful because it allows you to do more. It allows you to build more. It allows you to do more with your life. I do it every morning, and because I want to start and end my day with light energies and then allow myself to delve into those dark energies for creation during the day. It makes me happier. That's why I do it every single morning. And in fact, I notice if I don't do it for a stretch of time, or I do it but without really thinking about it, I just type it out, write it out, then I notice I become more aggravated, I become more angry or quick to anger. I become less appreciative, I smile less, I'm less happy. So that's why I really make sure to do it every single morning. But more than that, actually think about what I'm grateful for and actually invest my soul in a way into what I'm writing. Not just do it for the sake of doing it, but really do it because I want to. The 8th core ritual is silence. The world blasts your senses to prevent thinking. Most people avoid real thought, and also the world just tries to block it out of you. That's why silence is terrifying to most people, especially those not living true to themselves or God. Silence often allows you or exposes your shortcomings. A lot of people, after a hard period of their life, maybe after a breakup, after something, try to just blast themselves with music, with podcasts included, right? With all this noise all the time to avoid actually reflecting on their lives. And the reason this constant noise is encouraged, not only in the form of music, when do you actually see somebody just sitting without listening to music, or doing something without listening to music, or listening to podcasts? Oh, you need to always be learning on 2x speed, 5x speed, just listen all the time, listen. If you do that, you won't be able to reflect on how shit your life might be. or reflect on how you're feeling, or reflect on what you actually want to do with your life. Instead, you're just cramming yourself with noise all the time, and stops you from actually thinking. So silence is extremely important. You want to achieve a comfort with silence. If you're able to sit in silence without having an existential crisis or a breakdown or any of that, that's worthy of respect, because most people simply can't do that. Furthermore, it gives you a lot of ideas. When you're in silence, maybe you're taking a shower in silence, maybe you're going for a walk in silence, it allows you to almost connect with the consciousness of the universe, for lack of a better term or way to explain it, and you just get these ideas that are usually the best ideas you have. You want to disconnect from the noise, tune out of the noise, and tune in to yourself and the universe. That being said, there really is a balance to find between these two, between silence and noise, because if you go with too much silence, which is possible, your brain starts inventing fake problems and imaginary battles to entertain you, right? If you actually have a battle to fight, go in silence, figure it out, right? Go for a walk, think about it, think through it. That's good. But if you just keep doing it in silence, your mind will start making up these problems just because it has nothing else to think about, at which point you're just eating away at yourself. And learn. Not music all the time, but I mean, music has its place. It's beautiful. But also podcasts, audiobooks, conversations with people, all of that. It would still, despite the fact that you can eat away at yourself with too much silence, I would much prefer to be in silence than cram my brain with low vibrational inputs. Toxic distraction, toxic inputs. What is that? That means short form. That means news, like viral outrage, worthy, clickbait, all of that crap. Don't fill your brain with that. Everything that is gossip, right? Like, oh, this celebrity did that. Avoid all of that at all costs. Avoid it. Silence is much better than. Don't escape discomfort via substances. So a lot of people not only cram their brain with music or sound, noise, we'll call it noise, but on top of that, they also ingest different substances to really make sure to knock whatever there is back into the bottle and make sure they never have to confront it. The 9th core ritual are cold showers. Not only do they build discipline, they also train you to embrace discomfort. It sharpens your willpower, your resilience, first thing in the morning, right? Don't do it in the evening because then you can't sleep. Do it in the morning. That also, it becomes a sort of ritual. Well, that's why they're called core rituals, where you wake up, you know that in the morning, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a cold shower, and then you're really just going to get at the day. You're going to go fast. You're going to do a lot of things. You're going to have a good day, right? Whereas if you wake up, not taking a shower in the morning automatically leads to a worse day. Because just imagine, you wake up, you take it nice and slow, you'll do some work, and then at the end of the day, you're tired, you'll take a warm shower, and then you'll go to bed, and it'll be really nice. No. You want to wake up, you want to take a cold shower, you want to do a lot of things in the day, and then at the end, you're exhausted, you just hit the bed and fall asleep. And on top of that, there's studies that show that taking cold showers is the best thing for dopamine being the motivation, neurochemical, whatever. It's the thing that makes you motivated. More dopamine means more motivation, so cold showers increase your motivation. Sometimes, at least I've noticed this in my life, you'll think, oh, I don't really want to do this. I don't really have to do this, which is true. You don't have to do anything, but that's just a little voice in your mind. And when that happens, that's actually a good thing, right? A lot of people think, oh man, now I'm unmotivated. What's going on? Am I burning out? All of this stuff. No, that's a good thing, because you can learn to overcome that little voice that keeps talking. Because what does that mean, right? You're able to overcome it. If it happens again with something more important, you know how to overcome it. You know it's not really you speaking, it's just some fucking alien voice speaking to you. Core ritual number 9 are cold showers. And core ritual number 10, the final one, is talk to strangers. Connect genuinely, never just like a sleazy, self-absorbed networking scum. Don't look over people's shoulders when you're shaking their hand. Don't go for a limp or overly hard grip. Just talk to strangers on the street, wherever you go, in the park. You want to be like the old guy who just speaks with everybody. It builds confidence, presence, and social calibration. It also gives you a lot of stories to tell. And more than that, basically everybody, some people more than others, but basically everybody you can learn something from, and you can get some sort of opportunity from. Romantic, professional, whatever, friendship, amicable. You can find a lot of lessons and opportunities from that. Once I talked to this girl in Strasbourg. We started talking at like midnight. We didn't even know each other, right? I just saw her on the street and started talking to her. And then we talked for a few hours, and then we called it a night, and I went back home. It was quite an experience to almost feel like I was losing the person, because I knew I would never see her again. So that's something, right? Like, I literally refused, no Instagram, no phone number, whatever. A very good friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, I also met through talking to a stranger. You could say, oh yeah, everybody is a stranger before you know them, but I specifically mean going out of your way to approach somebody, not mutual friends, not like, oh, they're in my class. No, these people were not in my class. They were often from a different country, from a different place. Like, I did not have to interact with them in any way. So the first one I just met in a city. I was hundreds of kilometers from home. The other one was in my school, not in my class though. You could almost see that as cold approaching, not only romantically, but also just cold approaching people. And a very good friend of mine also through that way, and romantic partners you can also find that way. If we combine all of these, you have a rock solid foundation for enlightenment, for revolt, for a productive, good life. These are fundamental principles for living a good human life. The excellent life is built brick by brick through these non-negotiable actions.